Today, we delve into the 9 shocking things people witness at the very moment of their death. It's a subject that fills us with questions, especially when a loved one passes. What will they experience? Will they find peace? Are they truly okay? The pain of loss cuts deep, leaving us with memories that haunt and hearts that feel hollow, as though love itself was lost. But love, as mysterious and unyielding as it is, does not die. It only transforms. And for those who have lost someone dear, when you close your eyes, perhaps you can still sense their presence, feel their lingering warmth, and the mere thought of them brings a pain that words cannot express. If you've ever felt this way, this video is for you. Today, we're revealing the 9 things that people physically see at the moment of death. This information is rooted in the Bible, combined with testimonies of people who have encountered near-death experiences, NDEs, those who clinically die but return to life to share what they witnessed in those final moments. Their stories are not just eerie, they are deeply transformative. First, departed loved ones appear. As the body fades, the soul's eyes open. In that brief moment between life and death, a familiar sight emerges: the departed loved ones, waiting with open arms to guide them toward the light. Imagine your loved one on their deathbed, eyes closed in silence. But when they open again, they're not in this world, they're in the threshold of the next. And those faces, the ones they've missed for so long, are not figments of the imagination. They are real, present, waiting. This is a place divinely protected, a realm where God reigns, for He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. To Him, all are alive. The person at death knows without question that those who went before are there, ready to guide them, bringing a peace beyond words, a light that soothes the soul. No fear, no loneliness, just tranquility, as the Bible in Psalm 36 states, "For with you is the fountain of life. In your light we see light," and those in the room with the dying sometimes report a strange sensation. A sweet, floral scent fills the air, a whisper from the other side, signaling the presence of spirits coming to escort the loved one to a place of rest. Your voice can comfort others. I want to take a moment to encourage you to share your experiences in the comments. Many watching this video are grieving, and your words could be a balm for their souls. Have you lost someone close? How did you cope? What emotions overwhelmed you? Was there something that helped you through the darkest hours? Your story might be the very comfort someone else needs right now. Continuing, as we mentioned earlier, when someone passes, it's not uncommon for those nearby to notice a faint scent of flowers. This moment is fraught with tension and emotion, a powerful reminder of the fragile line between the physical and the spiritual. It forces us to reflect deeply on life's fleeting nature. When the end comes, it's not the riches we earned, the accolades we achieved, or the petty worries of daily life that matter. All that fades away. What remains is love, pure, undying love. It's the invisible thread that connects the living and the departed, binding us together even in death. Psalm 23, and the power of eternal love. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me in these final moments. The love that transcends death reveals itself as more powerful than anything on earth. A love without boundaries, a love that endures beyond the grave. And in that radiant light, we are reunited with those who have gone before us. Because death is not the end. It is merely the beginning of a new journey. Number 2, a sense of detachment from material possessions. Secondly, another sensation that patients nearing death experience is that all the things they own in life, all material possessions, become unimportant. This is positive because it means they don't cling to anything and can transcend directly without any problem. Imagine the last breath of your loved one, the moment when everything you know dissolves into nothing. At that precise moment when life escapes like sand between the fingers, something incredible happens. In the material world, everything that was once important loses its value. The house you loved so much, the car you cared for diligently, the jewelry, the titles, the achievements all fade away in a sigh. None of it matters anymore. It's as if at the time of death, a truth is revealed, a truth we ignore throughout our lives. When someone is about to die, brutal honesty takes over their mind. It's at this moment that they realize that the possessions, wealth, and goods they accumulated with so much effort are merely shadows, illusions that hold no weight on the threshold between life and death, because we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can take nothing out of it. This verse resonates strongly at that moment when the dying person detaches from everything material. It's a release, a final severance with the earthly world that allows them to move forward unchained to the unknown. It's a moment of pure raw truth. Everything they fought for, everything that once caused worry, simply vanishes. What matters isn't found in tangible things. It's not the big house, nor the money in the bank, nor the objects that once defined identity. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world, yet forfeit his soul? This question suddenly takes on an overwhelming significance. In the end, all that remains is the bare soul, free from the ties of the world. And this is where the reflection becomes almost universally profound. In the end, all that exists is something beyond the material, something that transcends the physical world. It's a feeling we all share, though sometimes we forget it in the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Death reminds us of this truth in a way we cannot ignore. At that moment, we understand that true wealth is not in what we possess, but in what we are, in what we carry in our hearts and souls. This detachment, this abandonment of the material, is a curse, but also a blessing. It allows us to cross to the other side without burdens, without weights that sink us into darkness. It prepares us for a meeting with the eternal, with the divine. Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven. In death, this teaching becomes true. It is then that the light shines brightest. When the soul is free from bondage, it ascends towards the infinite. This is the final act of liberation. At the end of the road, only what truly matters remains. The material dissolves and the soul prepares for the great journey. It's a reminder to all of us that in life, the essential isn't in what we own, but in what we are, in the love we give, and the peace we carry with us. Because in the end, that is the only wealth we can carry. Let's continue with the third thing that people see when they die. Number 3, they see their own body from above. Thirdly, when they die physically, people often see their body from above, observing all the people present. They see those around them crying, suffering, and witness everything that happens around them. In that moment, they perceive everything, hear everything, and feel everything. They may even say goodbye to their loved ones. Imagine for a moment that life, with all its pain and beauty, comes to an end. Your loved one takes their last breath, and what happens next is something beyond the imaginable. Suddenly, your loved one is no longer in their body, but they haven't completely disappeared either. They find themselves floating, suspended in a space between life and the eternal. From above, they see their motionless bodies surrounded by faces full of pain, tears, and despair. But your loved one is somewhere else, a place from where they observe what happens as a spectator of their own death. This moment is one of the most shocking that a person can experience after death, because a body without spirit is dead. Now, without that body which for years was their home, your loved one is pure spirit, and from this privileged vantage point, perceives everything with a clarity they never had before. Your loved one sees those they love, sees their pain, hears their sobs, and feels their suffering as if it were their own. It's a devastating yet profound moment. To weep with those who weep is a testament to the love surrounding them, a love so great that tears fall like rain. You realize how much you meant to them, and how your departure has left a void impossible to fill. But there's more. From this place of observation, your loved one may say goodbye and give a final farewell. There are no words, but the message is conveyed in a language beyond what is human, a language of the soul. The spirit itself bears witness to our spirit. This testimony is deep, filled with love, gratitude, and peace. It's a farewell that, though silent, resonates in the depths of the hearts of those left behind. The spirit of your loved one communicates with the spirit of the living and bears witness to their last goodbye. And this is where reflection arises, a truth that all of us carry within us, though we hide it in the depths of our being. Death is not the end, it's a step, a transition, a transformation. At this moment, as your loved one observes from above, they understand that life is not measured by the years lived, but by the love given, the bonds created, and the impact left on those who mourn for them. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, "Blessed are the dead who die in the Lord from now on. Yes," says the Spirit, "they will rest from their labor, for their deeds follow them." What your loved one sees from above is a reflection of the life they lived. It's a moment of personal judgment, not of condemnation, but of pure truth. At that moment, they realize what really matters: love, compassion, memories. And although they are no longer in their body, their presence is still strong. The Spirit says goodbye, but does not disappear, leaving an indelible mark on the hearts of those who love them. This is a moment full of tension, overflowing emotions, but also deep peace, because in that silent farewell, your loved one understands that although life on earth has ended, love does not die. Love never ceases to exist. And that is the most powerful truth of all, which finally transcends death. Number 4. They visit the dreams of living people to say goodbye. Sometimes after people die, they remain for a short period in this plane. They do this to visit places they need or wish to see for various reasons. One of these reasons is to say goodbye to other family members who were not present when they departed and want to offer them peace. Thus, there are cases where people see relatives in dreams or feel their presence without knowing that they have already passed away, just at the moment when they see them. The person who just died travels as an energy that touches the dreams of the people they love. Your loved one felt their last breath escape from their body, and at that moment everything changed. They were no longer a prisoner of pain, nor the weight of flesh. Now they were light, pure energy. But they did not leave immediately. Something kept them in this world, a force stronger than death itself: love. From this new perspective, your loved one saw everything with overwhelming clarity. They knew they had left the body behind, but were not ready to depart completely. There were places they needed to visit, farewells they had not yet given. It was as if they had one last task to complete, a sacred mission before crossing to the other side. First, your loved one went to see their sister. She wasn't in the room when he died, and this tormented her. He found her sleeping, her face tired from so much crying. He approached her, leaned over her, and though there were no words, his presence said everything. "For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways." He was not an angel, but his mission at that moment was to offer comfort and peace, and his sister, though still sleeping, felt a sudden relief, a calm that flooded her being. At that moment, she knew everything would be all right. But it wasn't just for his loved one. He knew there were others who needed to say goodbye, even if they didn't know it themselves. The cousin they hadn't seen in many years, the old friend never forgotten, each received a last trace of his essence. He appeared in dreams or in an unexpected breeze, and while they might not have consciously known, deep in their souls, they understood that this visit was his farewell on his final journey. He understood something he hadn't seen in life, that death was not the end, but a transition. Love never ceases to exist, and like energy, like light, he moved through the places and people he loved, leaving a spark of his love in each one. He knew that when he finally crossed over to the other side, those sparks would continue to shine in the hearts of those he ultimately left behind. The time has come for your loved one. He said his goodbyes, offered consolation, and closed all chapters. Now he felt the call of the eternal, a profound peace inviting him to rest. And with one last look, he let himself be carried away, knowing he had fulfilled his mission, and that God would wipe every tear from his eyes, and there would be no more death, nor sorrow, nor crying, nor pain, for the former things have passed away. Your loved one vanished into the light, but his presence, his love, and the traces he left continue in this world, in the hearts of those he touched forever. Number 5. Viewing their own life as a movie. In fifth place, as they transcend, people begin to see their life as if it were a movie. Both good and bad moments present themselves, and they ponder whether they enjoyed life and were happy. This is shown to them so they can relive these significant moments and truly understand what their life on this plane was like. Your loved one crossed the threshold, that boundary separating life from the eternal, but instead of disappearing into nothingness, now finds themselves in a different space where time does not hold the same form, where past and present intertwine in a single thread of memories. In this state, something profound and revealing happens. The life of your loved one begins to unfold before them like a movie, a sequence of images, sounds, and emotions. Every moment from childhood days to the last breath passes before their eyes with moving clarity. There are no lies or illusions here. Everything is seen exactly as it was, for there is nothing hidden that will not be revealed, nor secret that will not come to light. This is the naked truth, the summation of a life revealed in its entirety. Your loved one watches the good times, those days of pure happiness, when laughter filled the rooms and love seemed eternal. But they also see the difficult moments, the mistakes, decisions made in the dark, the words they wish they could take back. For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each may receive what is due for what he has done in the body, whether good or bad. It is not a judgment in the condemning sense, but rather a review, an opportunity to truly understand the life your loved one lived. They question whether they were happy, whether they savored each day, whether they loved enough, lived with purpose. It is a profound reflection that touches the deepest fibers of their being, because in the end, what matters is not only what was done, but how it was done. Teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Now, in this space between worlds, the wisdom of a well-lived life is what they seek. And amidst all this, your loved one realizes something essential. Life wasn't perfect, but it was filled with moments that defined their essence. The laughter, the tears, the triumphs, and the falls all have a purpose, a meaning that perhaps wasn't understood in life, but now is revealed with astonishing clarity. In this final review, your loved one is not alone. The divine presence accompanies them, guiding them on this journey of self-assessment. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. From beginning to end, God was there at every moment, and now He reveals the whole truth about your loved one's existence. At the end of this process, your loved one understands that happiness was not a destination, but rather the journey taken. The true wealth was not in material things, but in shared moments, in acts of love, and in the pursuit of inner peace. With this understanding, they feel at peace, ready to continue their journey towards the eternal, knowing that their life, with all its imperfections, was fully lived. And so, with this final revelation, your loved one bids farewell to this life with a sense of accomplishment, because although it wasn't always easy, every moment was worth it. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. And now, with a light heart and a tranquil spirit, your loved one advances towards the light that awaits them. Number 6, seeing an intense light. Those who have had near-death experiences often describe seeing a great light, a feeling of profound peace, or a vision of a beautiful place, a paradise they do not wish to leave, but from which they must return, because their time has not yet come. However, for those whose time has come, this light is the place they must go, the place they will be guided to, and where they will dwell, in that beautiful place spoken of. Your loved one has reached that moment we all face, the instant when earthly life disappears and eternity opens like a vast horizon. There was no fear, only a deep calm that enveloped their being. Suddenly they felt a light. It was not an ordinary light. It was bright, warm, and filled everything. It was as if every fiber of their soul was drawn to it, by a force more powerful than anything they had known in life. Approaching this light revealed a place of indescribable beauty, a paradise, a haven of peace where time does not exist, where pain and suffering are just distant memories. In my Father's house there are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you. This was the place that had been prepared for them, the final destination where they would find eternal rest. Your loved one felt an immense peace, something they had never experienced on earth. There was no urgency, no rush. The past, with all its struggles and anxieties, disappeared, replaced by a serenity that completely enveloped them. It was as if every wound, every pain was dissolved in the light, leaving only the pure essence of their being. For many who have had near-death experiences, this light and this place are just a glimpse, a brief encounter before they are brought back to life. But for your loved one, there was no return. That was the final moment of their earthly journey, and the beginning of an eternal existence in that paradise so often spoken of in Christian tradition. The experience of seeing a light at the moment of death is interpreted as an encounter with the divine presence, the glory of God, or the entry into His kingdom. This light is a symbol of God's guidance and love. While the Bible does not explicitly describe the experience of light at death, it offers several verses that help to understand this idea within the Christian faith. In the Bible, God is described as light. This light is a symbol of His holiness, purity, and glory. In John 1, we are told that God is light, and in Him there is no darkness. This light represents the truth and eternal life that God offers to all who believe. When someone is on their deathbed and sees a light, Christians interpret this as an approach to the Creator, who is described as a pure and resplendent being. Jesus presents Himself as the light of the world in John chapter 8, saying, "I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life." This verse emphasizes that those who followed Christ during life will not walk in darkness when they us, but will be guided by the light to eternal life. The vision of the light at the moment of death can be seen as the fulfillment of the promise of being guided into the kingdom of God. In the book of Revelation, describing the New Jerusalem, it is said to be the city that needs neither the sun nor the moon to shine, for the glory of God illuminates it, and the Lamb is its lamp. This apocalyptic image reinforces the idea that the light seen by the dying is a foretaste of the glory of God, a welcome into the divine presence in heaven. As your loved one moved toward the light, everything became clearer. They understood that life on earth was merely a preparation, a stage before reaching this final destination. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me and for the gospel will save it. Here, in this place of peace, they understood that the true purpose of life was to prepare for this moment, to reach this place where the soul finds its eternal home. And so, with one last look at the world they left behind, your loved one fully surrendered to the light. There was no sadness, no painful farewells, just a profound sense of fulfillment for having achieved their purpose. At that moment, they knew they were exactly where they were supposed to be, in the place where they would live forever in peace and harmony. Number 7, the purpose of life. In 7th place, our loved ones discover significant revelations about their existence and purpose. They learn that everything they experienced was for their benefit and spiritual evolution, that nothing happens by chance, and that everything was a choice. Then they realize that their path has been fruitful, that their spiritual evolution has been considerable. Your loved one has crossed the threshold of death and now finds themselves in a space where time and space dissolve into pure consciousness. There is no more pain or confusion, only an overwhelming clarity that reveals deep truths about the life they left behind. In this state, they begin to understand something they had never perceived before with such intensity. Absolutely everything had a purpose. As their consciousness floats in this new plane of existence, a powerful revelation unfolds before them. Every moment of their life, from the most insignificant to the most transcendental, was part of an intricate design. Nothing was random. Everything has its time, and everything under heaven has its time. Now they understand that each joy, each sorrow, each decision made was part of a greater plan that they themselves chose before they were born. Your loved one discovers that their existence was not just a passage of days, but a journey toward spiritual evolution. All the challenges they faced, the trials they overcame, were not punishments or mere bad luck, but lessons opportunities for growth, to polish the soul like a diamond under pressure. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion until the day of Christ Jesus. They now know that this work was their own spiritual development, and each step in their life was a step toward perfecting their spirit. The tension of this revelation is intense. It is a moment of pure introspection, where the weight of their decisions and experiences falls upon them. Was their life fruitful? Did they fulfill the purpose for which they came into the world? And then, with overwhelming clarity, they understand that yes, their life was a success, not in terms that the world might consider, but in terms of the soul. Their spirit grew, evolved. They learned the lessons they came to learn. With this understanding comes deep reflection. They realize that in life we often get carried away by the superficial, forgetting that we are here for something greater than just existing. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. At that moment, your loved one realizes that true transformation is not achieved by accumulating wealth or seeking recognition, but by cultivating the spirit, loving, forgiving, and learning to find peace. As each revelation envelops him, there are no doubts or regrets, only a deep understanding that everything he experienced had a purpose. Each tear, each smile, each act of love, and each mistake were essential pieces of a puzzle that he now sees in its entirety. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. In death, this truth shines more clearly than ever. Everything that seemed inexplicable was for good for his spiritual growth. And so, with this new understanding, your loved one feels ready to continue his journey. He has fulfilled his mission on earth, learned what he needed to learn, and now he is prepared for what comes next. He knows his path does not end here, that the evolution of the soul continues in the afterlife. But he does this with the tranquility of knowing he gave his best and lived a full and meaningful life. In this last moment of revelation, he bids farewell with love, leaving a legacy of wisdom and growth. His earthly journey has come to an end, but his spirit continues, filled with peace, wisdom, and the certainty that everything was as it should be. Number 8. Seeing beyond. As you move toward the light, you begin to see other people, those who departed before you, loved ones who wait for you with open arms. Blessed are those who are invited to the wedding supper of the Lamb. Here, in this place beyond what mortal eyes can see, souls gather in a joyous reunion. There is no more pain, no more suffering, only the purity of love that transcends death. But what you see is not just a reunion. The environment around you continues to transform into an indescribably beautiful landscape. It is unlike anything you have seen on earth, yet at the same time, everything seems familiar, as if the paradise you once imagined has become reality before your eyes. He who overcomes will inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he will be my son. This is the promised place, an eternal home where all promises are fulfilled. In this new heaven and new earth, everything is majestic, untainted by the corruption of the old world. The colors are more vivid, the air is purer, and every step you take leads to a place where everything is perfect, immaculate. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. As your loved one enters this new realm, they are in the holy city, the New Jerusalem. In the book of Revelation, the streets are paved with pure gold, clear as crystal. There is no night here, for the presence of God illuminates every corner. The walls are adorned with all kinds of precious stones, and gates made of giant pearls are always open, inviting all who have been redeemed. As they walk these glorious streets, your loved one realizes they are not alone. Angels surround them, beings of unparalleled beauty and purity, who accompany them with soft, melodious songs. And I heard the voice of many angels around the throne, and the creatures and the elders, and the number of them was 10,000 times 10,000. These angels guide him toward the throne of God, where everything culminates in a vision of divine majesty and power. Finally, he reaches the throne, where he sees God himself, surrounded by a light so intense that it cannot be looked at directly, but whose presence is felt in every fiber of his being. And I saw him who sat on the throne, whose appearance was like jasper and carnelian, and around the throne was a rainbow that looked like an emerald. Before the throne there is a sea of glass, clear and tranquil, reflecting the purity of the divine. Number 9. Meeting with God. In that moment, as the soul becomes aware of its new life and feels full and radiant, your loved one has reached the end of his earthly life. With the last heartbeat, everything that is known fades into a whisper, and he finds himself in a completely different place, a space where time dissolves and peace envered. There is no more pain, no more fear, only a deep calm that fills every corner of his being. At that moment, he perceives a presence that has always accompanied him, although he may not have realized it so clearly before. It is an overwhelming sensation, an indescribable force that envelops and fills him with a love so pure and perfect that there are no words to describe it. For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. For the first time, your loved one clearly sees what was before, only felt the presence of God. This encounter transcends any earthly experience. Before his eyes, a bright light appears, brighter than any sun. But this light does not blind, it reveals. Deep down, your loved one does not see God as a distant and inaccessible figure, but as the very source of all that is good, of all that is true. Under this light, he recognizes himself not just as a finite being, but as part of God's eternal plan. It's a moment of pure revelation, where all doubts and fears dissipate in the presence of God. Your loved one feels a peace so profound that no earthly experience could match. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. In this sacred encounter, there is no judgment or condemnation, only unconditional love that envelops him like a warm cloak. But amidst this peace, there is also a sense of wonder, because seeing God is not just about seeing a light or feeling a presence. It is fully understanding, for the first time, who God is and what it means to be part of his creation. In the face of this reality, your loved one understands that God is not just the creator, but the beginning and the end of all that exists. In this meeting, he realizes that every moment of his life was known to God, that every step he took was leading to this moment of truth. Even before there is a word on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it all. This profound understanding fills him with gratitude and awe, making all the weight of life with its joys and sorrows disappear in the light of this revelation. Finally, in this encounter, there is a merging of souls, a moment when your loved one no longer feels separate from God, but completely united with him. It's a return home, a reunion with the source of all love and all life, because in him we live and move and have our being. At this moment, your loved one not only sees God, but knows him in a way that transcends all earthly knowledge. This meeting with God is the climax of everything your loved one has experienced. It is the end of his earthly journey and the beginning of his eternity in the presence of the divine. With this revelation, with this understanding, your loved one surrenders completely, knowing he is in the arms of a love that never ends, in the presence of a God who knew and loved him since before the beginning of time. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, and so, with indescribable peace, your loved one loses himself in the eternal light of God, where he has finally found his true home. In summary, the journey of death is not one of fear, but of profound spiritual revelation. From seeing departed loved ones to experiencing detachment from the material world, each step brings clarity, peace, and ultimately, a deeper connection to God. Death is not the end, but a transition into eternal love and light. May we all find comfort in knowing that love never dies, and those who leave us are never truly gone. If you found this video meaningful, please share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights like this. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.